Going on YouTube. Sicker than your average here. Um, just making this video to showcase my D3 FNC build, also known as Defense. If you don't know, it's a new gear set that just dropped in patch 1.5. And if you go in and look at the talents that you get with it, the first set piece bonus is 15% protection from elites. The three-piece set bonus is Ballistic Shield Health, and four-piece is what's called Frontline Talent, which allows you to use the SMG if one is equipped when the Ballistic Shield is deployed. And the SMG crit hit chance is reduced to 0%. So with that being said, you mainly want to focus your gun on as much damage and high of damage as possible that you can get. So that's where we're going to start at. So the first thing I am running on this build, as far as gun wise, is the MP7. Now are other guns that output far more damage than this gun outputs. For example, the converted USC, 18.9k damage. I think I have one, yeah, right there, that does 19.1 damage. But as you see, the RPM on it is relatively small compared to my MP7, where these are outputting 650. My MP7 is outputting 950. But the MP7 I got is pretty much as God rolled as I can possibly get it right now. The only thing that could have made it better is if I had 15k damage, like I have on one of my other ones down here, versus having the 14.7k, but that's still more than sufficient. So it has plus 37% critical hit damage, but that's not really important since you're going to have a 0% crit hit chance anyway. The only time you will get crits is if either you're wearing Savage gloves, or if someone else on your squad pops a pulse, then you will get critical hit chance of whatever their critical hit chance is on their pulse. But anyway, the MP7 I got as a talent. I re-rolled the top talent. I can't remember what it was, but I re-rolled it to Destructive because in patch 1.5, enemy armor also applies to PvP now. Of course, it's calculated a bit different, so you're not really doing 15% armor destruction to PvP players, but it does play a significant role in downing people. The second talent I have is Responsive, and the third is Brutal. Brutal, you could reroll for something else like Competent, which would just give you a flat overall damage boost, but that's only going to be effective when you've used a skill, and it's only going to last for 10 seconds. That's why I really didn't want to roll for Competent. For one, not in the top slot, just because I don't have the 38, 32 requirement for electronics, but also because it's more of a situational damage buff versus one that spreads across, you know, every time you're using it. So I'm using Destructive, which gives me the 15% enemy armor damage, which also works great on NPCs. Also have Responsive, which when I'm closer than 10 meters, I would do 10% more damage, which is great because most PvP and for the most part PvE fights are going to be within that 10-meter range. And then my last one is a Brutal, which is going to give me increased headshot damage by 12%. That's also a good perk to have. Because I typically aim for the head. Some people aim for the body shots. For me, I usually aim for the head. So that's the gun we're starting off with. The other important, or I'll say two important pieces to this build, and what's been successful for me, is the Ray Barrett's Bulletproof Vest, which I got out of Lexington Event Center challenging mode. It took me about 8 to 10 runs to get it. It does have a 1% drop rate, so it is very rare to get, and I know people who have run Lexington Event Center. Last time I checked, they ran it 160 times since patch 1.5, and still no drop for them. So really just look of the draw. But the talent on it is called Barrett's Bulletproof, and it allows you to have a 10% increase in skill power when you have no skills on cooldown. If you have one skill on cooldown, it increases your damage by 5%. And when you have two skills on cooldown, it increases your armor by 10%. Now, with running the defense build, when you pop your actual shield, it doesn't count as your shield being on cooldown. So with that being said, you're still going to have the 10% skill power increase on your shield, regardless though you have your shield deployed. Now, where it actually comes into good play is when you pair the second part of the talent, which is one skill on cooldown increases your damage by 5%, with something, say, like booster shot. So with booster shot, you're going to get a 10% increase on your booster shots power, pretty much. I mean, it doesn't scale exactly like that, but you're getting a 10% increase on the scale as far as your booster shot. On top of that, you're going to be getting the booster shots damage increase. And also, in addition to that, you're going to get another 5% from having this chest piece. So, if you put all that together, I would say roughly you're getting about a extra 10% damage increase overall with all the skills combined. So that's very, very potent in PvP and PvE. And then the last one is when two skills are on cooldown, it increases your armor by 10%. This is also good in the fact that if your shield ever breaks, then it's going to be on cooldown, and if you pop then a booster shot, you'll have two. So you'll have your booster shot damage increase, the 10% increase on, not 10%, but the 5% increase in damage anyway from having the first one on cooldown. Then you factor in you have 10% armor on top of that. So definitely a potent build. And when I got mine, it already had firearms rolled on it, luckily. Only thing I had to do was re-roll the armor on it, which you see there, and I re-rolled it for 1259 armor. So it put me at 3,229 armor on this particular piece here. It also had ammo capacity already on it, which is another perk. The second piece that kind of pulls this defense build together is going to be the backpack, which I have a specialized backpack. It adds 200% of firearms and stamina to skill power. Now, many people say it, and I believe it too, that is a typo. It's supposed to be 20%, because it adds 20% to it, roughly. It's not 200%, because if it added 200%, I would have skill power somewhere around 400 and something, with the way my stamina and primary DPS is. But so on it, it has an armor roll already on it, and I actually accidentally re-rolled it for ammo capacity. I was talking with some of the guys in the party and wasn't paying attention to what was highlighted, and I actually re-rolled it. I believe before it had blind death resistance on it, and I accidentally re-rolled it for ammo capacity. So what are you going to do on that? So now, actually moving to my set pieces, I have a defense mask, which has the exotic damage resilience 10% and a minor attribute of 8.5% enemy armor damage. That is going to be key for PvP and PvE, because like I said before, with enemy armor damage applying to PvP now, you want as high as possible enemy armor damage. That way you can just pretty much melt people. And this one happened to be rolled for stamina, and I also have a stamina mod on there, which the stamina mod is giving me an additional 249 armor. So you definitely want to build your armor up as high as you possibly can. So every performance mod, you really want it to have, not performance mod, but every stamina or firearms mod, you want it to have armor damage on it. So that's my mask. Moving on to my knee pads. They are rolled in stamina. I actually bought these from base operations down in the terminal. I think it was like 500 or 600 Phoenix credits. It came rolled with stamina already on it. I already had a 1,117 armor roll. And it also had 11% enemy armor damage. Once again, you want that as high as you possibly can get it. The more you have of that, the better. So right now I'm already sitting at 15 from my gun, on top of 11 plus an additional, I think 8.5 it was. So as you see, my enemy armor damage is building up fairly quickly. And as far as mods on this, I have the stamina mod that has plus 270 armor, which is a almost max roll. The max is 270, I believe. And then it also has a prototype performance mod, which is going to add 3.5% ballistic shield damage. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but you want ballistic shield damage versus ballistic shield resistance, because the shield damage is going to add 3.5% to your damage output from your gun. So you would get a 3.5% increase on whatever your DPS is currently, or not your DPS, but your damage output is currently. Then I also am running the defense gloves. Nothing too special about these, honestly. They are expecting stamina. I did reroll what was marksman rifle damage on here for SMG damage. So I got a 976 SMG damage roll on that, and then it has pistol damage on it. And then lastly, the holster. Run-of-the-mill holster is actually spec more towards firearms than it is any other stats. Then I reroll armor on it. As far as performance mod, I just have plus 5% self-aid first heal, which I didn't go over what I have on these. So on the specialized backpack, I have a stamina mod, which has plus 278 armor. Like I said before, armor is key. You want as much armor as you possibly can get. The cap in World Tier 5 right now is 55.77. Roughly is the armor cap. So the closer you can get to that, the better. Then I also have performance mods with 6% first aid self-heal on those. So since I am running booster shot, which I'll get into in a second, I definitely want to get as much heal as I possibly can to myself. I mean, granted, I do want to heal my other teammates, but keeping yourself alive is probably the best thing you can do for your other teammates. So do have those. And on the Barrett's bulletproof vest, I am running a stamina mod, which has increased skill power, and then also a prototype performance mod, which has, once again, more armor. So plus 249 armor on it. Other things that are important on the build is going to be your skills that you're going to be running. So on the shield, I actually started off using this shield, the reactive targeting, which I was like, hey, I have 1.1 million roughly HP on it, so nobody's ever going to break the shield. But if you look at the damage increase and the damage resistance on it, it's only giving you an 8.5% damage increase, where you get a 10% damage resistance, and also increases your threat by 200%. Now if we go over to the one that I'm currently using, it does have half the health that the other shield had, but look at the damage increase. You get a plus 23.5% damage increase, and that 3.5% extra is coming from my stamina, my performance mod that I put on it. So that is definitely good. So as far as damage is gonna go, damage increase, and I'm gonna show you that here in a second. Also, I'm running booster shot. With my booster shots, as you see, it doesn't give you an actual stat value for it, but it increases your damage and damage resistance. So that's going to give me a damage increase on top of what my shield already gives me. And it's also going to give me a damage resistance on top of what my shield already gives me. So you kind of see everything's kind of stacking upon one another. On top of that, I'm also getting a damage increase again from Laura Barrett's bulletproof vest, as well as when I'm proccing 2 skills on refresh, I'm going to get an additional 10% armor. So everything's kind of just stacking upon each other to make you super tanky and also great DPS output. And then as for talents, if you're running the shield, you definitely want to run combat medic. If you read it, it says use a med kit near allies to heal group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. This also works for you. So anytime that my shield gets low on health, I simply pop a med kit versus using my skill booster shot, because that's also going to heal my shield by 40% of its total, um, by 40% of its total health pool or HP. I'm also running critical save, which when you use the med kits during low health, it increases your damage resistance by 40% for 10 seconds. So once again, stacking more and more resistance. So I have resistance from my booster shot, resistance from the shield, also resistance when I pop a med kit for an increased 40%. So you're going to be taking a lot of damage with this. Also, running one is none. You don't have to. I run it just because I do aim for the head a lot. So you do have the benefit of having a 50% increase on that. And then I also have on the move, which if you kill a hostile while on the move, it reduces your incoming damage by 30% for 10 seconds. So there is that. So now that I've showed you all the build, I'm going to show you how it actually applies. So right now I have no skills on cooldown. So right now I'm getting the plus 10% skill power, which if I don't have anything pop like my shield or anything, I'm not getting any benefit from that. But just to show you, without anything else extra added to it, when I shoot and aim for a head, which this is just with my deadly on it, and oh, let me show you one other thing while I'm thinking about it. The mods that I have on my MP7. So I have a Osprey 45 suppressor with accuracy, headshot damage, optimal range. Optimal range is going to be great because that way you can still hit for a higher damage value at a further distance. 5% really isn't that much. I do have one that's 49%, but it's kind of finding a good balance between everything. But I do have an increased 15.5% accuracy, 6% headshot damage, and 5% optimal range. Which that's another thing I need to mention. When the assault shield actually gives you increased stability, I believe. Let me double check back on it. I believe it's stability though. No, you get increased accuracy. So now I have two different items that are giving me increased accuracy from the shield, and then I also get a 15.5% accuracy increase just from the suppressor. Underbarrel, once again, I'm going for accuracy. An increased 15% accuracy, 2.5% stability, and a 5% reload speed. My extended mag is set up a little bit different. On it, I am running plus 110% magazine size, a 4% critical hit damage increase, which if you can get that roll for something else, that'll be better because you don't get critical hits when you have the shield deployed, so it's kind of pointless to have. And then I have a 5.4% rate of fire increase. Also, on the scope, I have increased 21% optimal range, 2% accuracy, and once again headshot damage. And of course, I'm just running a stealth blue camo for that. I want to talk about one other thing before I do the damage demonstration. This build is more of a, you're very tanky and you put out DPS. There hasn't really been a meta build in the Division thus far, which allows you to put out a lot of damage but also take a lot of damage. It's kind of a first for the Division. So this is definitely a build that you can really get approved upon. And even mine isn't me and max right now, because if we go into my character, headshot damage I'm doing plus 74%. That could be a lot higher, preferably if I can get it to around 110%. I'll feel a lot better. Critical hit damage doesn't really make a difference. I mean, though it will make a difference if you have people in your squad who run a pulse, then you will get that critical hit chance, like I said before. But the real thing is survivability. So I have 207k health. Pair that with a armor mitigation of 55 I mean 51.77, which I'm 4% off right now from max from cap. Definitely potent. Another thing is going to be your enemy armor damage, which is up here. If I can run across it. Actually, I know it's under. I thought I knew where it was under. No, I thought it wouldn't be under that. Oh, enemy armor damage plus 34.5%, which is pretty good. Going that as high as possible though. You can get around 50%. I'm not sure exactly what the cap is, but if you can get that around 50%, you will be doing great. But now to showcase the build. So with nothing proc, nothing going, nothing but the 10% skill increase, which I don't have a skill active right now, so I'm not getting an increase. For a headshot, each round is doing 28k. Now, when I pop booster shot, each round is then doing 33k. So, booster shot, we're doing 33k, and without booster shot, you'll see we are doing 28, 29k. A little bit higher right now. Not sure why, but my DPS still up. No, it's still about the same. Yeah, so now it's showing up 29. So we'll just say 29, 30k base. So you get about a 2% increase when using the booster shot. I mean, not 2,000. 3,000 roughly increase damage per bullet while using booster shot. Now I'm going to let that run out, and I'm going to proc my shield. So you got 30, 33. With the shield active, I'm going up 6k. So 6k damage is going up just by using the shield, the assault shield. This on the headshot. Body shot is going to be a little bit different, which I didn't do a control for the body shot, but I focus on headshots, so that's why I'm doing headshots. So I'm getting 36k roughly. That's up 6. Now if I pop a booster shot in conjunction with this, now I'm doing 40. So that is a 10k increase in damage from two things being active, the shield and then a booster shot being active. Now there's many ways you can change the build around. If you want to do even more damage, you could say if you don't have the specialized backpack, you can change the specialized backpack out for a defense backpack and then change over to a tenacious mask, because that's going to give you an increased 10% damage for 10 seconds when using a med kit. So if you can put this and equip this, you can get, if you're low on health, you pop your med kit first, boom. After your med kit pops, you then can still, even if you're at full health, pop your booster shot. So you're getting a 10% increase on top of another increase. In my case, it happened to be 23% increase. So you're getting 2 increases there. Not, well, 23% increase from my shield. The booster shot doesn't tell you how much the increase is, but I'm just going to say it's about 10%. So that's an additional 20%, plus the increase you're getting from your shield, which would be another 23%. So now you're looking at roughly about, what, 43% increase in damage, which isn't bad at all. So I definitely think building this is very good. Like I said, that's not even counting if you have a person in your squad who's running a pulse, because then you're also going to get the critical hit chance from there. And actually, I was running with a group earlier, and you'll see if you look at the video I just streamed a couple minutes ago, or if you're watching this at a later point, the video that's right before this one that I made, you'll see that I was critting for 80k damage on NPCs, which is ridiculous. Like, that's damage you expect from a SMG. Which the meta has changed a little bit because there are guns that are hitting for like 110k headshot damage. But that's still a lot for NPCs, and it's pretty much shreds everybody. But that was pretty much a showcase of the build that I have going. I'll give you a quick overview again so you can see my DPS, toughness, and skill power where it's in right now. Like I said, the main two things that are tying this whole build together though is going to be the Barrett's bulletproof vest and a specialized backpack. But hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. And be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm trying to put out more as I can since 1.5 is just launched, and try to get as many people as possible some more info and knowledge and a couple ideas on what kind of build they want to make. But until next time, peace out.